Welcome, educators. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Today we're focusing on a truly transformative technique for the 21st century classroom. We're pulling directly from a fantastic, comprehensive, active learning guide to look at a highly effective, super dynamic teaching strategy. It's designed to get your students moving, engaged, and actually taking ownership of their education. We're going to master the art of station rotation.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is a question I know almost every single teacher has asked themselves at some point. Do you struggle with teaching different skill levels at the exact same time? You know the feeling. You look out at your classroom and you've got students who desperately need fundamental direct instruction, sitting right next to students who are ready to race ahead with independent reading, and others who really just learn best by getting their hands dirty and doing something practical. Trying to meet all of those varying needs simultaneously in a traditional teacher-centered setup, it's incredibly difficult. Honestly, it's almost impossible. But that is exactly the problem today's methodology is going to solve for us.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the core concept, move on to the 4 station types, then the execution steps, a real-world application, and finally, some troubleshooting.
Part 1. The core concept. What exactly is station rotation?
Well, station rotation is an active learning strategy where students physically move through different designated stations to study a lesson using varying methods. And I really want to emphasize the key word here, move. Instead of just sitting at one desk all day long, students are physically transitioning to different spaces in the room. This movement promotes self-directed learning, it encourages group work, and it wonderfully caters to all those different learning styles by offering a variety of methods for the exact same lesson.
So why does this matter? Well, the absolute biggest advantage here is differentiation. It perfectly accommodates completely different ability levels in a single classroom. It also allows for simultaneous skill building. Think about it, in just one single lesson period, you can seamlessly combine reading, writing, and listening simply by assigning those specific skills to different physical stations. It totally breaks the monotony of the classroom and turns it into a highly dynamic learning environment. Part 2, the 4 station types. Building the architecture. And this brilliantly illustrates how we actually set this up.
We're setting up a completely different learning modality for each stop. Let's look at the breakdown. Station A is teacher-led. This is where your students learn foundational activities directly from you, the teacher. Then we have Station B, which is collaborative. Here, students are working together in groups on questions or maybe a mini project. Next up is Station C for independent practice. This is where a student might read a text or tackle a worksheet entirely on their own. And finally, Station D is the digital learning station. This is such a great option for integrating technology, letting students use computers or tablets for various EdTech tools. By rotating through all of these, your students are getting a completely balanced educational diet.
All right, Part 3, execution steps running the classroom.
Here are the 5 chronological execution steps straight from the Active Learning Guide. First up, you'll divide your class into groups of 4 to 5 students per station. Second, you have to set a strict time limit for each station. Third, have the students rotate to the next station on a really clear signal. Now, this signal could be a bell, a musical alarm, or honestly, even just rhythmic clapping. Fourth, always reserve time to summarize the learning at the end of the rotation. And finally, step 5, the teacher must facilitate, add context, and provide feedback on what the students actually accomplished.
Now, I really want to highlight this specific number, 4 to 10. According to the guide, 4 to 10 minutes is the absolute ideal time frame to set for each station's rotation. It's just long enough for students to dive into a mini-task, but short enough to keep their energy and focus extremely high before they hear that signal to pack up and move.
Part 4. Real-world application, the science example. Let's move to and see how this builds in a real, tangible classroom setting.
Let's follow a single student through this exact setup. Picture our student beginning their journey at Station A. Here, they sit right with the teacher, who directly explains the core theory distinguishing renewable from non-renewable energy. It's focused, it's direct instruction, and it's perfectly setting the foundation for the rest of the lesson. Okay, the bell rings. Our student now rotates over to Station B. Now they're at a group table getting completely hands-on. Working collaboratively with their peers, they use a battery to physically build a simple electrical circuit. So the theory they just learned at Station A, it's already turning into practical action.
The timer goes off again, and our student moves on to Station C. This is the independent station. You'll notice the environment completely changes here. It's quiet. The student sits alone to read a specific text about the usage of solar panels in Cambodia, which is then followed by completing a targeted worksheet to test their comprehension of that reading.
And one final rotation brings our student to Station D, the digital station. Here, they pick up a tablet and watch a really dynamic animated simulation video showing exactly how windmills generate power. Just think about that. In one single class period, this student has received direct instruction. They've collaborated on a hands-on project, practiced independent reading comprehension, and engaged with digital media. I mean, that is the power of station rotation.
Which brings us to Part 5, Solving Common Challenges, Troubleshooting. So the crucial point is that real classrooms have hiccups, right?
The most common challenge you're going to face is uneven timing causing bottlenecks. You might have one station where students finish the task way too fast, while at another they're moving at a snail's pace. This literally causes a traffic jam of 12-year-olds when it's time to rotate. But the solution is pretty straightforward. You must carefully balance the difficulty level across all your activities so they take roughly the exact same amount of time. Furthermore, use very clear, perhaps even fun sound signals, like a specific catchy song or a loud bell, so absolutely everyone knows exactly when it's time to stop and move. This keeps the whole room flowing smoothly.
So we've covered the core concepts, the architecture, the setup, and even how to troubleshoot the roadblocks. You now have the blueprint for a highly engaging, active learning environment. So I'll leave you with this question. Which lesson will you adapt for station rotation tomorrow? I really encourage you to take this empowering technique, look at your upcoming lesson plans, and just try it out in your very next class. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy teaching.